At her friend's wedding, someone asked when I'd propose. She laughed and said, "Him? I'd rather stay single forever." Everyone laughed. I just set down my drink and left. 2 weeks later, she was sleeping on her sister's couch, begging me to answer her calls. Some truths arrive like thunder, sudden, deafening, impossible to ignore. Mine came during the reception of Rachel's best friend's wedding, delivered through a champagne-loosened laugh and words that can't be unheard. Let me rewind to how we got there. I'm Victor, 47, run my own commercial construction company. Built it from the ground up after 15 years working for someone else. I'm not the most sophisticated guy, prefer jeans to suits, cabins to resorts, whiskey to wine. But I've done well for myself. Own properties across 3 states, no debt, solid investments, the kind of financial security that comes from decades of calculated decisions. Rachel and I had been together for 2 years. She's 39, works in pharmaceutical sales. Beautiful, sharp, ambitious. We met when my company was renovating her office building. The attraction was immediate, the kind that makes you forget to finish your sentences. The relationship moved fast. 3 months in, she was practically living at my place. At 6 months, it was official. She gave up her apartment, moved her things in, settled into a rhythm of shared life. I'm not a man who does things halfway. I gave her full access to everything, added her to my accounts, gave her a credit card, keys to all my properties. If we were going to live as partners, I wanted it to feel complete. I even started designing a house I planned to build for us. Rachel had specific tastes, and I wanted to create something that would make her happy. Her friends were mostly other pharmaceutical reps, along with some college connections. All polished, professional types who lunched at expensive restaurants and took boutique fitness classes. Not really my crowd, but I made the effort for Rachel. Attended their dinner parties, their charity events, their birthday celebrations. They tolerated me with practiced politeness, occasionally asking about construction as if making conversation with the plumber. I didn't mind. I wasn't there for them. 2 years in, things were solid. At least I thought they were. We discussed marriage in that hypothetical way couples do. Nothing concrete, but the conversation was open. I'd been thinking about proposing, had even looked at rings. Wanted something special, not just off the shelf. I'd commissioned a custom design from a jeweler friend, something that incorporated elements of a vintage piece Rachel had once admired in an antique shop window. Then came Brittany's wedding. Brittany was Rachel's closest friend from college. They'd been sorority sisters, roommates, then maids of honor at each other's weddings. Or at least, Brittany had been maid of honor at Rachel's first wedding, a decade ago. A marriage that lasted all of 18 months before her ex left her for his dental hygienist. The wedding was exactly what you'd expect. 500 guests, cathedral ceremony, reception at the most expensive hotel in the city. Open bar, live band, photo booths, the works. I wore my best suit, made conversation, danced when expected, played my part. During the reception, Rachel and I were standing with a group of her friends, mostly couples, all drinking steadily as the night progressed. One of the husbands, Todd I think, turned to us during a lull in conversation. "So when are you two making it official? Rachel going to be the next one down the aisle?" Before I could answer, Rachel laughed. Not her usual laugh, something higher, performative, meant for her audience of friends. "Him?" she said, gesturing toward me with her champagne glass. "I'd rather stay single forever." The group erupted in laughter. Someone clapped me on the shoulder consolingly. "Ouch, man," another added. "Don't worry, Victor, she's just saying that because Brittany's dress cost more than your truck." More laughter. Rachel joined in, adding, "Seriously though, can you imagine me in a construction trailer signing building permits for the rest of my life?" I didn't laugh, didn't argue, didn't create a scene. I simply set my drink down on the nearest table, looked at Rachel for a long moment, then turned and walked away. Not just from the conversation, from the wedding, from the relationship, from the life I thought we were building. I could hear Rachel calling after me, her voice shifting from amused to confused to concerned as I continued walking. I didn't look back. In the hotel lobby, I ordered an Uber, then turned off my phone, went to my cabin in the mountains, the one place Rachel had always found too rustic to visit for more than a day. Spent the night sitting on the deck, watching the stars, feeling strangely calm for a man whose life had just imploded. By morning, I knew exactly what needed to happen. I drove back to the city and waited until Rachel would be at work. Used those hours to make calls to my lawyer, my accountant, my bank, not out of spite, but out of necessity. If someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. At the house, I packed my essential belongings. Clothes, important documents, family heirlooms. Left everything else. I owned several properties. I could replace furniture and kitchenware. What I couldn't replace was my time, which I'd wasted enough of already. Before leaving, I made one final sweep of the house. In the office, I collected the blueprints for the house I'd been designing for us, along with the material samples and color swatches Rachel had selected. In our bedroom, I retrieved the small velvet box from its hiding place in my closet, the custom ring, finally finished, that I'd planned to propose with next month. On the kitchen counter, I left my house key, alongside a printed list. 1. You have 30 days to find new accommodations. 2. The utilities will remain on during this time. 3. The credit card has been canceled. 4. Your personal belongings will remain untouched. 5. Any further communication should go through my lawyer, whose contact information is below. No accusations, no emotional language, just facts. Then I walked out, closing the door on a relationship that had clearly meant very different things to each of us. I checked into a hotel downtown, turned my phone back on, and watched as notifications flooded in. 37 missed calls, 52 text messages. All from Rachel, each more desperate than the last. Where are you? Why did you leave like that? It was just a joke. Everyone was drinking. You're overreacting. Please come home. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I blocked her number. The next morning, I went to my office and immersed myself in work. Life continues, regardless of personal earthquakes. By evening, Rachel had found me there. My assistant reluctantly let her in after she refused to leave the lobby. She burst into my office, eyes red, makeup smeared. What is wrong with you? You can't just walk out and disappear. I've been worried sick. I looked up from my desk, calm and direct. I heard you quite clearly last night. You'd rather stay single than marry me. I'm simply respecting your preference. It was a joke. Everyone jokes at weddings. Why are you being so sensitive? It wasn't a joke to me, I replied. Neither is the fact that you'd mock me and our life together to entertain your friends. She switched tactics, moving from defense to offense. So this is it? 2 years together and you throw everything away over one stupid comment? This is childish, Victor. Grow up. I stood, gathering the papers on my desk. I am growing up, growing past the need to be with someone who doesn't actually want to be with me. Of course I want to be with you, she cried, reaching for my hand. I stepped back. No, Rachel. You want what I provide. There's a difference. She left in tears, promising this wasn't over. She was right about that, but not in the way she meant. Over the next week, the campaign intensified. She enlisted her friends to call me. Her sister showed up at my office. Even her mother called, assuring me that girls say silly things sometimes, and I shouldn't take it so seriously. I remained polite but firm with all of them. This wasn't a negotiation. It wasn't a cooling off period. It was a decision made in the clear light of self-respect. On day 9, Rachel's tune changed. She discovered that the credit card had been canceled, that her access to my accounts had been revoked, that my lawyer had sent formal notice that she needed to vacate the property by the end of the month. The reality of the situation was finally sinking in. Her messages turned bitter, accusing. I was controlling. I was punishing her. I was having a midlife crisis. I'd never really loved her. I continued my silence. Words had gotten us into this situation. They wouldn't get us out. On day 12, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. Thinking it might be work-related, I answered. It was Rachel's sister, Vanessa. Victor, she's a mess, Vanessa said without preamble. She's staying on my couch, crying all day, barely eating. Can't you at least talk to her? I've said everything I need to say, I replied. She made a mistake. A stupid, thoughtless mistake. But she loves you. She's devastated. She's devastated about losing her lifestyle, I corrected gently. There's a difference. That's not fair. She really cares about you. Then she should have considered that before humiliating me in front of 50 people. Actions have consequences, Vanessa. So do words, she sighed. I've never seen her like this. She's always been the strong one, the one who has everything together. She'll be fine, I said, not unkindly. Rachel is nothing if not resilient. After we hung up, I sat in my office, looking out at the city skyline. I felt no satisfaction in Rachel's distress, no vindication, only certainty that I'd made the right choice. 2 weeks to the day after the wedding, I was at my cabin, enjoying the solitude, when my property manager called. Rachel had shown up at the house with a moving truck, attempting to remove furniture and artwork that wasn't hers. He'd refused her entry, as instructed. She'd created a scene threatening legal action, causing enough disturbance that a neighbor called the police. I thanked him for handling it and asked him to send me the security footage. When it arrived, I watched without emotion as Rachel screamed at my property manager, as she tried to push past him, as the police officers calmly explained that she had no legal right to enter the property or remove contents without my permission. The next day, I received an email from my lawyer. Rachel had retained counsel, claiming partial ownership of my property based on our implied partnership and her contributions to our shared life. I forwarded the email chain showing where she'd rejected my offer to put her name on the deed last year, saying she didn't want the responsibility of homeownership. A week later, her lawyer withdrew the claim. It's been 2 months now. Rachel has moved into a new apartment, significantly less luxurious than the life she'd grown accustomed to with me. Through mutual acquaintances, I've heard she's telling anyone who'll listen that I overreacted and couldn't take a joke. The friends who laughed at her wedding comment have closed ranks around her, affirming her version of events. It doesn't matter. I know what I heard. I know what it meant. The custom ring sits in my safe. I'll have it reset someday, perhaps, when the memory of that night fades. The blueprints for the house have been modified. I'm building it anyway, but with changes that reflect my preferences rather than Rachel's. It will be my home, not a compromise. Last week, I ran into Vanessa at a restaurant downtown. She approached my table hesitantly. "She misses you," she said after an awkward greeting. "She knows she screwed up. I hope she's doing well," I replied sincerely. "But that chapter is closed." "She's not doing well at all, actually. She lost her job last month, couldn't focus, kept missing appointments. She's still on my couch." I nodded, feeling a twinge of sympathy, but no regret. "She'll land on her feet. Rachel always does." Vanessa lingered, seeming to want to say more. Finally, I was there that night, at the wedding. What she said, it wasn't just the alcohol. She talks like that about you to her friends all the time, has for years. I appreciated her honesty, if not the revelation itself. I figured as much. Thank you for confirming it. As Vanessa walked away, I realized something important. The pain I'd felt that night at the wedding wasn't about rejection or humiliation. It was the pain of seeing clearly something I'd been willfully blind to for 2 years. The relationship I thought I had existed only in my mind. Sometimes the most valuable thing you can do is set down your drink and walk away. Not as a dramatic gesture, not to teach someone a lesson, but because you finally understand that staying would cost you something essential, your self-respect. Rachel is still calling, still texting from new numbers when I block the old ones. Last I heard, she's telling friends she'll win me back, eventually. She doesn't understand that this isn't a game with strategies and scores. It's simply over. Some might call my response extreme. I prefer to think of it as appropriate. When someone tells you who they are, especially when they don't realize you're listening, believe them. Eat it. This blew up overnight. Some clarifications. 1. Yes, I owned the house outright before Rachel moved in. We were not married, and in my state, there's no common law marriage provision. She had no legal claim to any of my properties. 2. For those saying I should have confronted her at the wedding? Why? So she could deny it? Make excuses? Create a scene? Actions speak louder than words. Mine said everything necessary. 3. Many asked if there were red flags before this incident. Looking back, yes. Comments about how my work was just construction. Reluctance to spend time with my family. Embarrassment when I wore work boots to dinner. I ignored these because I thought they were my minor issues that would fade as she got to know me better. I was wrong. 4. To the person who called me heartless for not giving Rachel a second chance. Self-respect isn't heartless. It's essential. Update. 3 months later. Life continues on its new course. The house is taking shape, foundation poured, framing complete. I spend weekends at the site, overseeing details, making adjustments. There's something deeply satisfying about building something exactly as you envision it, without compromise. Rachel has finally stopped trying to contact me directly. Her sister called once more to say Rachel was seeing a therapist, working on herself. I wished her well and meant it. Holding grudges takes energy better spent elsewhere. I've started dating again, cautiously. Had dinner last week with a landscape architect I met through work. Intelligent, straightforward woman who asked thoughtful questions and actually listened to the answers. Too early to know where it might lead, but it was refreshing to have a conversation that didn't feel like a performance. The most unexpected development: 3 of Rachel's friends, the ones who laughed that night, have hired my company for renovation projects. When the first one called, I assumed it was some kind of setup or attempt to create an accidental meeting with Rachel. But no. Turns out they genuinely appreciated my work, despite their personal loyalties. Business is business, after all. I've learned that respect isn't just about how others treat you, it's about how you respond when they don't. That night at the wedding could have gone differently. I could have created a scene, demanded an apology, tried to salvage things. Instead, I chose to honor what I heard and act accordingly. No regrets.